Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and I wanted to show you something in this video that should hopefully help you PvE players or just people that want to play the game in general a ton. This is going to be my top 20 plus basically base locations that you can get over on the center on Ark Survival Ascended. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through each one of these and kind of explain why I'm going to the locations that I am. And they are all really awesome locations, by the way. They aren't like individual things. Like each one of them has reasons they are good, and it's not necessary. There are some that are my favorites, but there aren't necessarily any that are terrible. All of them are going to be awesome locations for you to pick. Even if you're playing on a server that has a ton of people already taking locations, all of these will help you out a ton. So if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below, and then consider subbing to the channel. All right, so spot number 1. Now this one is probably one of my favorite PvE locations to build in the game, and that is due to the location of everything. The coordinates, just so you can see on the map, is 50 and 78. I'm gonna go ahead and get out the awesome spyglass so I don't have to keep telling you the coords. In the upper left corner, you'll see the coords for the rest of the video, but you can see it right here. Now, basically this is on the Blue Ob Island, and so you're close to an obelisk. You have multiple kinds of easy resources to gather. You have stone, wood, flint. You have access to ocean, so you can get your ocean tames in and out of this little bay. And then if you clear off this beach right here, you have so much room that it's almost a joke. You can build everywhere. It's got everything that you could need in a base location. It's not necessarily the most glamorous location. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it's got one of the highest functionalities, and you can build on the entire thing. I've seen people build up on this ledge. I've seen people build cool like archway builds, and then underneath they've got their like ocean tames in the middle there. Overall, it's just a super cool place to build, and you should definitely take advantage of the fact that it's an open area. So you can split this with like 5 or 6 different tribes, even if they're massive tribes, just because it is a huge area. And a ton of stuff can be placed here. Now let's go ahead and go to my spot number 2. Now the number 2 location is another one of those, like all of these are going to be big building locations, because when you're playing PvE, you don't want to be limited by space, right? So this is why I build in areas that have a ton of stuff, an area that you can go to. So next location, just so you can see it on the map right there. This is another one of my favorites because you have another ocean area, ocean access point. See this like little river goes inland. And you can see that there's also little areas there. You've got little ramps that go up and down. You've got one of my favorite places to build on this, and then somehow connect it using pillars to the backside and then drop down into the water pool down there. I love vertical builds. So this one would allow you to quite literally have anything you want on the bottom, to have your water tames down there. It'll give you the access to build up high. And then if you're really cheeky with how you build, you can use this little platform too. And it gives you a ton of location to build. Spot number 2 is another one of those ones that is, it's a little bit it's a unique style. I like to gate that off and just use this entire space in here and come up with really creative, like multiple level high, just gargantuan builds. In the center have like a built-in moon pool. It's just one of my, I love bases that have water access for that reason, because you don't have to like necessarily isolate what kinds of tames you have, because this is deep enough water to raise everything inside of. Because you just need 2 deep in order to actually raise everything. So it's a very useful point. So that's base number 2. Let's go ahead and go to PVE base number 3. Now, again, I'm gonna keep reminding you this. There's not necessarily one that's better. It's all about personal preference. But for the most part, I'm making sure you guys have easy access to resources. There's flat land, and you've got a ton of space to build. So this is a new base location now that they've updated Ark Survival Ascended. This can be a little bit different, just so you know. This is Lava Island. And this is the pillar, or if you want to call it the Pride Rock, or whatever you want to call it, on Lava Island. It is a super cool build. Now, the negative, water will be something you have to actually route up here. But if you clear off all of these trees and the excess up here, this is one of the coolest spots to build, because no matter which way you look, you have a super cool view every single direction. Plus, you've got a really unique area, because building on Lava Island can be a lot of fun. There's a lot of valuable resources over here. Anything from pearls to larger tames like the Giganotosaurus tends to spawn over there. T-Rexes are going to spawn over there. You're going to get your pyromanes spawning over on this side too. So it's a very useful thing. It's a unique one. And if you don't like that spot, I like to take this pillar as well, because you're high up off the ground, especially if you're playing with multiple people, it's more difficult for someone to aggro something frustrating like a Giganotosaurus or something that can destroy your base when you walk out front. So having a pillar build is also a super cool thing and have a more aerial style. Plus, it's a really big area, lots of resources, and again, you still get the views that I'm talking about. So that is why I like this as a spot in general. So, you know, take that one as you will, but that's up to you. So, kind of like a 2-for-1 there, but you get the point. So spot number 4 is one of my favorite spots because this is Beaver Lake. If you haven't been to Beaver Lake, there are beavers, there are coals all over the place, so you don't have to worry about things. They will for free give you some of the baby castroids now, so you don't have to tame them, which are a pain in the butt to tame. And they'll spawn the beaver dams. Plus, the reason that I like this spot so much, go ahead and go a little higher up here. You have one of the highest pillars in the game. So again, you get the cool view. You've got the water to build and have your water taming pen in. You've got quick access to the streams here, which are very useful to have access to because they have a lot of stuff inside of them. Specifically the smaller to mid-size ocean tames. You're basically in the center of the map here, so you have equal distance to travel to everything. And you've got quick access to the underworld just by going over that way just a touch to get to the 2 access points to the underworld. Now, I'm not even going to go into the underworld. I'm going to kind of go down there right now just so you can see what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't know what the underworld is, it's probably the best building space in the entire game. This is kind of just, again, one of those bonuses. So you can kind of use this for what you will. The coords to get to the easiest access point to the underworld are right here at 3453. And you just have to go in the water, go to the bottom of the water, and then drop to the bottom. Boop. And you are in the underworld. This is a massive zone. Usually tribes of like 40, 60, 70, 80 people are going to block off an area like this, and they're just going to have this entire thing to themselves, which is crazy because it is a huge zone that doesn't necessarily need to have a large number of people. You have every resources that you could possibly need. You have access to silica pearls. You have access to stone, metal, everything you could need is inside of this zone. You never have to leave this underworld biome. It's just a really cool zone to build, and it's just crazy, right? You've got offshoots of caves. You've got everything you could need. You just have to get your tames from the surface and then bring everything else down here. Absolutely nuts that you can, it's an awesome base. Literally, you could build on any one of these pillars. You could build on any wall and still have 20, 30 tribes down here. And you guys might never see each other because it's a just gigantic zone. It's probably one of the coolest spots. And you've got all kinds of little croppings like this where you can build up on a wall and no one will ever even know you're here. Especially if you're in a PvP more, you can build up a little higher. It's a little more difficult to get to somebody there, but a really, really cool thing to be able to get to. So definitely take advantage of the underworld. This could be like bases. I could find, I don't know, probably 20 base locations inside of this area to build. I'm not going to count it, but you get the point. This is like, it's massive. The entire thing can be built in, and it's got everything you could possibly need to never need. Like, look at these little like if you're a smaller tribe, you only need like 1 or 2 small areas, but take some of the small stuff and share it with other people. It's crazy. So you can see like everything. I didn't even know the dodo spawned in here. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so there's lots of places that you can just build on the top and just massive areas for larger tribes. Plenty of room. Definitely share this zone because there's also a little hidden area over here. If I can show you what I'm talking about, and you can see that this is new, and you can kind of go up over here and really not going to show me much, but again, these are all unique areas that you can get to in the game, and they're just fun, right? Like the point of this game is to get to areas that are unique and have base locations and fun zones, and this is why we play this game, just for reasons like this. So definitely take advantage of this because it's probably one of the coolest zones that you can get to. It's just awesome. That's all it is. So yeah, I mean, this is another one of those. This is more of a PvP spot, but if you want to build in somewhere like this, having some of this, it's just a blast. So that's like my little spiel on that one. Let's go ahead and go to the next spot anyways. All right, so next up on our list, these will go a little bit quicker because they're not massive zones, but you get the point. So the next spot is another one of those ones that's unique because it's got the larger areas right here. It's kind of in the center of the map. And this one has 4 large pillars as well as a few bare caves underneath it. But this flat surface right here is super cool because if you clean this entire thing off right here, you can actually have 3 pillars to go vertical on the sides. And then you also have quick access to the ocean, which again, you'll probably need a separate base for the ocean on this one, but you're close enough to water where you don't really have to worry about it. It's a little bit of a off the ground, so again, a little bit more difficult for people to troll you in this spot, but it's a super fun spot to be able to go to. And again, you get some cool little ledges and stuff like that give you some neat stuff, plus a few rat holes in this area that are pretty cool to get to as well. So let's go ahead and go to our next spot. But top of all of the base locations that I'm showing you, that's probably my least favorite, so take that as you will. So next one, this is a much smaller location, and this location itself is very neat in regards to the fact that it has a outcropping here, and it is again nearby to the center of the map. Notice how most of our locations that I'm showing you are in the center of the map, because the closer you can get to everything, the better off you are. I only like this location for one specific reason, and that is this really neat flat zone right here with nothing. So you're not gonna have to worry about anything. It just goes on as a flat zone for forever. And then you've got a really cool natural built-in staircase that goes the entire way down to the floor over here. And I just think that when you have those natural things and building them into your base, it's one of my favorite things to do inside of the game. Plus, you can build a massive base up there and have the door be right here. I just think that's a really cool concept. I've never actually built here, but I think I'm probably going to try and do that in this season of Ark, just for the next couple of months while Center's a fun map to play on. So that's what I would recommend. It's a great spot to go to, and you should definitely check it out. So let's go ahead and get to our next spot. I have 2 PVE 8s because I'm stupid and forgot to write 9. So we'll just keep giving you bonus base locations. All right, next up on our list is 5246. This is one that is a very popular one. So if you're on a bigger server, it's going to be difficult to get this one on a PVE. But the reason it's so popular is because it's basically a giant indoor coliseum with cool natural structure, meaning that if you block off all the sides, it's very difficult to get inside. Plus, you've got a vertical zone where you can kind of build on top of and have like an aviary for your birds. And on top of all that, it's pretty close to the water, so you can build some really, really neat things in here, making it a very, very easy access, central-ish to the map, fun place to build. It's a really neat one because of the fact that you've got the natural like barriers and all that kind of stuff all over the place. A lot of people like to build in this one, so if you're on a bigger cluster, you're probably not going to get access to this one, but it is a lot of fun to go to if you can get access to it. All right, next up on our list is another one. This one is actually Skull Mountain. This completely got reworked. So Skull Island is completely reworked now, and there are 2 really cool base locations for like small and mid-sized tribes. I wouldn't build on the bottom side because you're killing an entire resource there. Same thing with the nose. But inside of the eyes, you have really cool base locations that you can build in. And these you can just plop down a couple of foundations and then have like an outdoor area for your larger tames, and then have natural stairs with a small little inlet for, again, I said small and medium sized tribes, but you can have like a 6x5 base right here and just not really have to put up any walls. And it would be a super cool base location to have access to. Again, this is all personal preference, but if you're a smaller tribe, this is a really cool new base location that no one has tried yet, including myself. And it's just cool because it used to be just a giant skull, and it was in the inside of the skull, you just had like death. It was just death all over the place. And then you've got easy access to resources like you can see up on top, which is really cool. Having access to all of those is neat. And then if you really wanted to, you can build up on top of it. But I mean, again, that makes it more difficult to get to. So measure that as you will. So that is that one. A very popular base location, I think, is how it's going to... Did I do... remember which one I did? I don't know if it was 8 or 8. But Skull Island, I think, is going to be a really popular build location. So on your PvE servers, you're not going to get it. Yeah, so I did do this one. It's cool. I was just making sure I didn't miss both of them. All right, so this one is 9 through 15. And the reason I'm calling it 9 through 15 is more of due to the fact that the area that I'm going to show you has a plethora of base locations that are just massive. And I'm not going to bother naming all of them. If you don't know where the Redwoods Forest is, the Redwoods Forest is huge. It takes up the entire southern half of the map. The thing, I'm just going to go through it and show you some of the spots that I've built before and some awesome locations that you can build for PvE. But I'm not going to start naming them. I'm just going to show you the locations. Again, this one is super cool because you're off to the side of Redwoods Forest. So you don't have to worry about some of the frustrating tames inside of it. And yeah, it's just an awesome location because you've got the land bridge, and building up on the edge, you can build a massive thing. And then you can also have your stuff go down into the water, meaning that you can also build into this zone right here, which is super cool because you can have a water and like a hybrid base. Again, you know how much I like the water bases. So definitely think that's really cool. So definitely use that if you can. And then if you go just to the side of this, and again, the chords are in the upper left for those of you that are in the video typing right now. Why didn't you mention the chords? Literally written in the upper left for the entire video. Another one of my favorite places to build is this right over here, this little bay right here, because you can literally build something that goes into the water and then straight up. You can build a massive fort that goes all the way up to the flat ledge up here. And you can take over this entire ledge, especially if you have a larger tribe, because it's perfectly flat. I'll just go ahead and drop down so you can see what I'm talking about. This thing, you can put a couple of foundations down and have like a 20 by 20 base and not have to worry about a thing. Plus the number of rat holes that you can find inside of these walls over here just for funsies and like storing things away like this right here. It's kind of nuts. This map has so many PvP base locations that some people forget that they can be fun to build in PvE, so people never know where you're at as well. So you definitely have a lot of opportunity for all of that in this location. Now I'm going to move and go over to some of the other popular locations that people like to build in, and I also like to build. If you follow this little place, this ramp up to the side, you keep ending up at different levels. So on servers that are like everyone plays together and it works well as a team and everyone has fun, you can see this nice flat zone right here, and this flat zone can be used in order to just build a massive base. And again, you can use those up there. There are some pretty cool little flat ledges like this that you can get up underneath and build some neat stuff. But using these kind of flat ledges the entire way around, because you can just follow this thing the entire way up and build some sick builds. I like this kind of build right here where you've got like a thing above and you only have to build some gates and stuff like that in order to build. And then you can also build up on top because there are zones all over this area. And it ultimately leads us to the back cave over here, which again is another one of the most popular building locations in the entire game because you have this super cool cave that you can build in that is gargantuan. Now it does have a gargantuan entrance, so raiding it can be like for PvP purposes, it's a little bit harder to defend, but overall it is a super fun. Now you can see, yes, there is living death inside of here with Megalania, but the cave itself is probably one of the coolest builds that I've ever played because it's just so neat, right? I like the neat bases. The more neat it is, the happier I am for playing on it. So this is a huge cave and it's a ton of fun to be inside of something like that because you've got a ton of space and no one ever has, like if you just put up a couple of gates, no one's gonna know you're there. Plus this is the top of the map, so you can't like go down and into it. It's just so much fun to build and stuff like that. So again, you can see top of the map, you can go down on this ledge right here. This entire ledge is super popular for PvE. The Redwoods is a super cool zone and you just build on the entire thing. I'm just gonna like go across the entire back section here and just show you what some of like the places that I like to build. I've built up on these before, the flat ledges. You can also build on the outcropping right over here. I don't think I've ever actually built or seen this before, but you can definitely build there. And the entire back ledge, like if you're not getting the point at this point in time, you're missing out. But again, there's more caves back in here. The entire thing is just super fun. You should definitely check out the Redwoods Forest because of how fun it is. And again, this is the ceiling up here. So just be aware of that because there are some cool like cave edge locations that you can build and move around quite a bit inside of them to find some neat. There's so many rat holes on this map, but I'm not going to get into that because there is so many cool things and base locations that you can find inside of the Redwoods. It's laughable. I love building in these little pools because there's quite a few of them inside of the Redwoods, but you can build in just about all of the pools. So definitely, and it's such a cool. And then for those of you that are single, yeah, check out these to build in because these can be a lot of fun to build in the logs. I don't know why I think it's cool to build in the logs, but I think it is cool, especially if you're on a server that allows it. Some servers don't allow it, but you can definitely get inside one of the logs and build. I think that's a really, again, these are unique ideas, so keep that in mind. Again, plenty of ledges, plenty of all of that stuff. There's a whole bunch of mini caves inside of the actual redwoods forest too. I apologize for flying around so much, but there's so many building spots in the entire redwoods that, again, you could build in locations and never see people. There's waterfalls you can build behind. It's insane. For PvE purposes. PvP, this is not where you want to go because it's a commonly hunted area. But the actual PvE component of it is a super cool place to build. And again, trees. But I built, you can build the tree platforms on all the trees too, which is a very fun thing to do. You can get a tree platform network with you and your allies. It's a lot of fun. I love building in the redwoods inside of this game, specifically for the reason that it's massive. You don't really even need to go to the other side, but you can, so keep that in mind. So that is that. So let's go to PVE base number 16. Now this one is a specific location, but the reason I say it's a specific location is because this. Okay, come on. Thank you. So there's your redwoods. There's your snow biome. In between the two, there is a massive land bridge. And on that massive land bridge, you have a really cool building location. Because you can build on this entire thing. You can literally put back of your base, open up, and have this be your view. You know how cool that is? Like, look at that. That's crazy. Now, water is a little bit difficult, but this entire zone has some awesome base locations. You can drop down into this and build on these if you want to, and have all of this be nearby. There is also inside of this zone, there are silica pearls in here. They're a little harder to find on this map, silica pearls are, but it's a pretty cool thing to definitely capitalize on that. The area itself has a ton. You can also dip down and get into the ice caverns, which is over here. Go over here and show you the ice caverns. But yeah, really cool base locations. Here's your start to get to your ice build, right? And then you follow this around and you end, oh man, lag. There we go. You can end up over in the ice biome and the ice build over here, which is a super cool one. This one right here, again, it is cold over here, not freezing, but it is cold. So keep that in mind. But you can kind of end up, and there is one of your artifacts, probably the easiest artifact you can possibly get. And yeah, it's super neat, but a lot of people will cheese their ways on PvPs in order to get inside of the actual castles here. Because you can get inside of the castle walls in some spots, but on a PvE server, this is a super cool place to build. And the chords again in the upper left corner. But that is, I mean, the center, I say it, it's probably the best base building map out of all maps in Ark, because PvP, there are so many rat holes. PvE, there are so many locations, like massive map. You probably won't run into everyone unless you play on this map for like a year or two. It's just a huge, huge map. You can explore for hours and just find new stuff all the time. It's probably, without a doubt, I'm just going to say it's the best base building map in the game, especially now that they've reworked it and it looks a lot prettier. It's a lot of fun to be able to run a map like this. So now, next one is maps spots 17 through 20. And the reason I say, again, I'm just chunking away. I've given you guys way more than you probably thought you'd get. But they are just, this is the floating island. Now, the floating island as a whole is one of the biggest base locations in the entire game. It has probably the most resources in the entire game, because if you go inside of the floating island, you've got beaver dams, you have quick access to tons of different resources, and you can actually get inside of it to get a whole ton of metal as well, because there's like a hidden cave in the center of this thing. But this floating island has so many base locations that it's almost a joke. And it's, again, here's your chords. It sits above a internal ocean, and this ocean has large tames inside of it, so you can find unique tames inside of that. You can build on all of the outcroppings like you see here with tons of space, and there's tons of outcroppings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you wanted to build on that. There is enough space to build on just about anything inside of this map. Now there's also internal caverns, which is really cool that you can build inside of, and you can go up to the top of these caverns and end up in some really neat locations. If we go back to where I just was, there's a really cool waterfall that hides a hidden cave base. And yeah, it's a super neat location that you can build inside of. And it's just a unique location. Getting into something like this is a lot of fun. And you can have, like, you can drop down to multiple layers, drop down into the island. And then if you keep going down into this island, you'll find like an actual cavern system with crazy resources, metal, and a ton of different stuff. But the map as a whole is very well completed. I'll show you what I mean by that. So here's the underside of this island, right? And if you go under this island, you'll find a few points. You can go up and into the island. And here's what I was talking about. There are some really cool cave base locations you can build in here with resources. You can get metal. You've got flat zones like this one you can build up and in. There's a ton of locations that you can build in this zone. Unlike the first like 10 base locations where the specific spots, these larger areas, you can build so many different locations inside these places that it's a joke, right? Like it's huge. And this doesn't even get into the fact that you can build underneath. There's little flat points, and these are very popular in PvE as well. It's like a little island you have, and then there's a mini ocean right here with actual tames inside of it. So that's pretty cool. And you can build on all three of them because, I mean, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6. I was wrong, 6. And some of them even have little, you can go behind, and they will actually have bridges that go to the top. This one clearly does not. Where are the bridges? I know there is one. I'm just being stupid. Is this the one? Nope, that's not it. And I'll eventually find it. There it is. But you can get some pretty cool builds here in general. So the center, it has one of the largest PvE communities in the game and PvP because it has all of these base locations. Which you should definitely try and capitalize on some of those ones that I've shown you that are super cool and that you think you would like to build in. Cool thing, just build it in a different one if you don't like the one you're in right now. It's fun. No one can break your stuff in PvE anyways. But anyways, hopefully this video helps you out. And if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. All right, teach.